The Mandalorian changed Star Wars. It changed what we expected from a Star Wars television show as well as what we can expect from someone in the Mandalorian armor. But now that there are some changes going on, it does make me concerned about Season 4. Welcome to Star Wars Uplink. Seasons 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian are beautiful. While I don't necessarily enjoy the ending to Season 2, I think everything leading up to that ending is quite enjoyable. And Season 1 is just a perfect Star Wars in my opinion. I really enjoy everything there is to offer with that first season. It captures that really great balance of original trilogy grit and texture, as well as the technology and fun that can be found in the prequel content. And a lot of that technology is quite interesting and makes the world feel Star Warsy than I think a lot of other Star Wars projects, including the sequel trilogy. I think The Mandalorian struck that balance much better than the sequel trilogy did. But then we get to Season 3 of The Mandalorian, and that's where things start to go a little bit sideways. We had the introduction, almost 2.5 season of The Mandalorian with Book of Boba Fett, and while I really enjoy those 2 episodes, and I think they are some great Star Wars, it felt off when we look at the whole of Book of Boba Fett, and it didn't really give Boba Fett the time to shine in his own show, besides all of the weird stuff with like the Vespa chases and some of the weird decisions around the Book of Boba Fett. I think that middle season was quite enjoyable. But then we get to Season 3. Season 3 killed all of the momentum that Seasons 1 and 2 really brought to the franchise. And I talked to many friends of mine who did not even watch Book of Boba Fett, and they were so confused when Grogu was suddenly back in action in Season 3. And I think that really just epitomizes the disjointedness of Mando Season 3. It started quite strong and really punched above its weight in that second episode. Season 3, Episode 1 was just wild, and again, pacing was so bad in that specific episode. And then just kick things off with a bang with Season 3, Episode 2, and I think Episode 3 as well. And then it went awry and did a lot of weird stuff and found itself like, crap, we need to finish this show, and it just really stumbled forward more than I think I would have wanted. The way Season 2 was going was in a position of, hey, I'm a Mandalorian. I was brought into this realm of thinking, and it was basically a cult. I had this cult-like religion that I was brought into, and now that I'm expanding my horizons, I'm now reconsidering things. I'm now finding that, hey, this world that I knew isn't the world that is actually out there. This whole idea around keeping my face covered is not the Mandalorian way. It's this weird side cult's way, and it's not something that I think, in my personal opinion, that I should be doing now. I found this little Grogu dude, and he needs me, and I really wanted to say goodbye to him, and I needed that face-to-face experience. And then Mando Season 2.5 happens. There's a little bit of that furthering of the story. Grogu comes back. They have a good heart-to-heart. And then Season 3 kicks off, and it's like, hey, I want to go back to my religious cult here. What can I do to go back to where I was 2 seasons ago and throw away all of my character growth? That's really what struck me so much around Season 3 of The Mandalorian. We had Seasons 1 and 2 really progressing this one story. That little 2.5 section that kind of reverted things back. Season 3 just like, yo fam, hey, how do I go back over here and just throw everything away and just go back to old Mando dude? How can I do that again? And according to some theories, they did want to show at the end of Season 3 the Mandalorian with his helmet off to show his growth as a character and the growth of the Mandalorians as a whole. They wanted to show him without his mask, but because of Pedro Pascal only being there in terms of a voiceover role, because his schedule is insane, that season was not able to. It was not really able to fulfill the story that they originally intended it to be, and I feel like that lessened the story that they were able to tell. And then there's what will ultimately be season 4. Apparently it has wrapped writing already and it's going to begin filming soon, and production has begun, at least pre-production. But if Pedro Pascal's schedule is still incredibly busy, if they're still struggling with this idea of where they want to take the character, if they still have ideas on how they want to move things forward, which they do for sure, and I think the whole goal is to make some big changes to the story of Mandalorian and bring him forward in a much bigger way in this Mandoverse world, with like Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka and all of this stuff happening, the Rangers of the Republic. There's a ton going on here. But they had so many storylines in season 3 that they just didn't feel confident enough and really spun off and turned really quickly in the opposite direction. If you look at the whole, oh hey, Moff Gideon's dead, no wait, he's back, and now he might be alive still, there's a lot that can be told here, but it's just it's really disheartening to see that, hey, they didn't really want to commit to the idea that they had for the original season 3, and now they have another season 4 with the similar kind of problem with Pedro Pascal's schedule and him just entirely focusing on other things while only lending his voice when there's a lot of storytelling that should be told with him without the mask, because that was the main story that was set up in season 1 and 2. There's just so much there that could be so great. I am just concerned that season 4 will just be another slow inch forward rather than the big step it needs to be. There were some great moments in season 3, but as a whole, season 3 didn't feel like it had a very cohesive story to tell. It had vignettes for sure, but it wanted to tell a continuous story instead of the more vignette-focused stories that they did in the previous seasons. And I don't think it works if you have one and then the other. I think you need to have, yes, let's do vignettes, let's do more of an anthology style like they did more with seasons 1 and 2, instead of just, hey, we're going to have these anthologies and then we're going to have this underlying story and then we're going to move forward on this underlying story, but then we're going to oh crap, there's another story that needs to be told here and we need to spin this one down. Oh wait, no, there's 8 episodes and we have to finish this off now. Quick, let's end this season. Like, that is not going to work for another season, and it's just going to slowly dwindle the brand of The Mandalorian. Ultimately, I think there's a lot to be concerned about, and maybe going into season 4, we set our expectations a little bit lower in terms of what they can actually do with the stories, which is a shame because I would really like to see The Mandalorian keep the prestige that I think it had, because I think season 1 is a perfect Star Wars. I think season 2 is a pretty good Star Wars, and season 3 is just an okay Star Wars. So I really hope with season 4 that we get back to this is what makes Star Wars so great. Maybe they step away from The Mandalorian as being this uniter of everything with The Mandalorian, bring him back to the smaller scale stuff, because I think that's where he really benefits. But hey, let me know your thoughts on these theories and what you think season 4 is going to be. I would really like to hear what you have to say in the comments below. As always, check out our podcast that releases every Tuesday, and may the Force be with you.